Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Boss Economics World, the only show where we take the dismal science of economics, sprinkle it with a dash of chaos, and serve it up hotter than a Wall Street trader's temper during a market crash. I'm your host, the Boss Economist, here to break down the latest economic dumpster fire with the kind of clarity your high school econ teacher could only dream of. Today, we're diving headfirst into the semiconductor tariff saga, because nothing screams global economic stability like slapping levies on the tiny chips that power, everything. Buckle up, folks, because this one's gonna be a wild ride from microchips to macroeconomic meltdowns. Let's set the stage, shall we? The U.S. Commerce Department has been sniffing around the semiconductor market since April 2025, trying to decide if they should slap tariffs on an industry that's expected to rake in a cool $700 billion in global sales this year. Why? Because apparently, the US government thinks the best way to win a tech race is to kneecap its own companies. And who's behind this brilliant strategy? None other than Donald Trump, the tariff-slinging cowboy of American politics, who's already levied taxes on cars, auto parts, steel, and aluminum like he's playing a real-life game of Monopoly, Protectionist Edition. Now, Trump's latest obsession is semiconductors, those tiny little wafers of silicon that power your iPhone, your Tesla, your Roomba, and, oh yeah, the entire artificial intelligence revolution. And let me tell you, folks, this isn't just a niche issue for tech nerds in Silicon Valley. This is a full-blown economic tsunami waiting to happen, and it's going to hit everyone from big tech billionaires to the average Joe trying to buy a new laptop without selling a kidney. Let's start with the obvious, shall we? Semiconductors are the lifeblood of the AI boom. Companies like Microsoft, OpenAI, Meta, and Amazon are planning to spend billions, with a capital B, on advanced chips to fuel their AI ambitions. According to a 2025 report from McKinsey, global spending on AI-related semiconductors is projected to hit $120 billion by 2027, up from $85 billion in 2024. And guess what? A huge chunk of those chips comes from overseas, particularly from Taiwan, home of the semiconductor titan TSMC. Now, here's where the tariff hammer comes down. If the US slaps levies on imported chips, the cost of those semiconductors could skyrocket. A 2024 study by the Semiconductor Industry Association estimated that a 25% tariff on imported chips could increase costs for US companies by up to $10 billion annually. And who do you think is going to foot that bill? Spoiler alert, it's not Jeff Bezos. It's you, the consumer, when the price of everything from cloud services to smart fridges goes through the roof. But wait, there's more. Higher chip costs don't just mean pricier gadgets. They could also slow down the AI race, which, let's be honest, is the only thing keeping the US economy from looking like a rerun of the 1970s stagflation horror show. A 2025 report from Goldman Sachs warned that disruptions in the semiconductor supply chain could shave up to 0.5% off US GDP growth annually. That's right, folks, tariffs might just be the economic equivalent of pouring sugar in your car's gas tank. Smooth move, Washington. Now, let's talk about the star of this tariff circus, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC. On August 5, 2025, Trump took to the podium to brag about TSMC's plans to expand its U.S. presence, claiming they're spending, wait for it, $300 billion to build the biggest plant in the world, in Arizona. Sounds impressive, right? There's just one tiny problem. TSMC's actual investment plan is $165 billion over several years for 6 plants, 2 packaging facilities, and a research center. So, where did Trump get that $300 billion figure? Did he pull it out of a golden MAGA hat? Did he misread the teleprompter? Or is this just another case of alternative facts in action? Look, I'm all for domestic manufacturing, but let's not kid ourselves. TSMC's US expansion is a drop in the bucket compared to its global operations. According to TSMC's 2024 annual report, the company produced 90% of the world's most advanced chips, with the vast majority of its facilities in Taiwan. And here's the kicker, even with the Arizona plants, the US is expected to account for just 10% of global semiconductor production by 2030, per a 2025 Boston Consulting Group study. So, Trump's tariff tantrum might bring a few jobs to Arizona, but it's not going to make the US the semiconductor kingpin overnight. Meanwhile, it risks alienating allies like Taiwan, which, oh by the way, is a critical geopolitical partner in the face of China's growing aggression. Smart strategy, huh? But wait, folks, the tariff train doesn't stop at semiconductors. Oh no, Trump's also threatening to slap levies on the pharmaceutical industry, demanding that drug makers bring manufacturing back to the US or face unspecified penalties. Because nothing says affordable healthcare like making your medicine more expensive. Now, let's break this down. According to the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, nearly 90% of US biotech companies rely on imported components for at least half of their approved products. And the world's biggest drug makers, like Merck and Eli Lilly, operate scores of manufacturing sites across the globe. Why? Because it's cheaper, more efficient, and, here's the kicker, sometimes the only way to access critical raw materials. A 2025 report from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration found that 72% of active pharmaceutical ingredients for U.S.-approved drugs are manufactured overseas, with China and India leading the pack. So, what happens if Trump slaps tariffs on imported drug components? Well, a 2024 study by the Peterson Institute for International Economics estimated that a 20% tariff on pharmaceutical imports could increase U.S. drug prices by up to 15%. That's right, folks, your insulin, your blood pressure meds, your life-saving cancer treatments. All more expensive, courtesy of Uncle Sam's protectionist playbook. And don't even get me started on the irony of a policy that claims to bring jobs back while making healthcare less affordable for the average American. Bravo, Washington, bravo. Now, let's zoom out, folks, because this isn't just about chips and pills. This is about the entire global economy, which, let's be honest, is already hanging by a thread. Trump's tariffs are being imposed under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, which lets the president levy taxes on national security grounds. Sounds legit, right? Except here's the thing, the US already tried this with steel and aluminum tariffs in 2018, and the results were, let's just say, less than stellar. According to a 2024 Federal Reserve study, those tariffs cost US consumers and businesses $40 billion annually in higher prices, while creating just 26,000 jobs in the steel industry. That's a cost of $1.5 million per job, folks. If that's winning, I'd hate to see losing. And it's not just the US that's feeling the heat. The World Trade Organization reported in 2025 that global trade volumes are projected to grow by just 2.7% this year, down from 3.3% in 2024, thanks in part to rising protectionism. Meanwhile, China, the world's second-largest economy, is licking its chops, ready to fill the void left by US tariffs. A 2025 report from Oxford Economics found that China's share of global semiconductor production is expected to rise from 15% in 2024 to 24% by 2030, partly because US policies are pushing allies like TSMC to diversify away from America. Congratulations, Washington, you've just handed your biggest rival a golden ticket. Alright, folks, let's cut through the noise. Tariffs sound great on the campaign trail, bring jobs back. Stick it to China. Make America great again. But in the real world, they're attacks on common sense. They raise costs for consumers, disrupt global supply chains, and risk alienating allies, all while doing little to address the root causes of economic inequality or technological dependence. If the US really wants to win the semiconductor race, it needs to invest in education, R&D, and infrastructure, not slap band-aid tariffs on a broken system. The CHIPS and Science Act of 2022 was a good start, pumping $52 billion into domestic chip production, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to the $1 trillion global semiconductor market. And as for the pharma tariffs? Please. If you want cheaper drugs, try negotiating with big pharma or fixing the broken patent system, not starting a trade war that makes medicine more expensive for the average American. This isn't rocket science, folks, it's economics. But hey, what do I know? I'm just the boss economist, here to call out the madness while the world burns. That's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this economic roller coaster, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Boss Economics World. And remember, when life gives you tariffs, make lemonade, or just move to Canada. See you next time.